Our Algae Buster challenge has been going for a little over a month. At the time of filming this, you should have seen the 5th episode, so 5 weeks since we put the Rosy Barbs in this tank. And I think you can see, even without a close-up, how much work they've put in that period of time. We had an extremely dense amount of algae. You can see it right now, right? Despite the fact that this tank gets fed 5 days a week, they are doing an impressive job of crushing this algae down. Now, about the only spot where I'm seeing them not doing a super good job is up in this kind of upper algae up here, but down here they've really been mowing through it. And that could just be a matter of this is so prolific and easy to get to that this doesn't matter to them yet. So what's the point of this video? I'm wearing this hat for a little bit of a reason. I've got to give them credit. Corey has for years now talked about the Rosy Barb, and they're a fish that has been in our hobby for quite a long time. They're robust, they can handle a really wide temperature range, they're fairly easy to care for, and they're even kind of easy to breed. But I don't think they get the amount of love they deserve at being hair algae destroyers. And yes, Corey talks about them quite a lot, hence why I'm wearing this thing, because he's right. Out of all the fish I've owned and all of the hair algae epidemics I have dealt with over my time, this is the one fish that if I put in a tank and walk away, they will just decimate that algae. And slowly, honestly, is being a little, too generous in the sense of, how long the algae will last. Because they've gone through so much of what was in this tank in such a short period of time. Let's talk very briefly about the Rosy Barb and why you might want to consider it as a fish. There's plenty of care guides out there, and this isn't going to be a care guide necessarily, but we'll go over the real quick basics. These guys actually thrive in slightly cooler water. So if you are trying to do an unheated tank, or maybe you want a pond fish and you live somewhere where the temperature stays relatively warm almost all year round, or preferably all year round, think your places like California, and you don't want to get too hot. Like Florida might almost be too hot most of the time. It depends on the temperature of the water, but these guys are phenomenal at handling slightly lower temperatures. Think your mid to high 60s and your low 70s as kind of their optimal range, but they can handle warmer tanks. Like this tank sits at about 76 degrees. They've been doing just fine. Long term, they're going to get moved after they've dealt with the destruction and Armageddon that is the algae outbreak in this thing, but they are a true and straightforward omnivore. They will eat a lot of hair algae, and hair algae specifically is something that they tackle really aggressively. But because they also like algae, one thing that you need to keep in mind is there are a lot of plants, especially finer leaf plants, that they will pick at. Try to keep them with some of your more robust plants, think Java ferns and Nubiuses, some of your buces. You could probably even do some of the sword plants. You just don't want to put them in there with, say, super fine leaf rotalas, as an example. They're likely to go to town on those things. Now, granted, I have a rotala species right here in this tank, but it's almost all up top and kind of immersed and floating, so they're leaving it alone and favoring the nice thick algae carpet that's been down here in the tank. Food-wise, they like their greenery, so don't feed them a heavy carnivore diet. Make sure that there's a reasonable amount of plant matter in their diet. In general, what I've found is by light feeding this tank and their mixture of algae, they have kept extremely healthy. I know you can see it even from here, but we'll go close in. The males have this beautiful kind of rosy, hence the name, red hue. It's depending on the male. Sometimes it's more yellowish. Sometimes it's a bit more rosy red. Kind of a almost rose gold color, and the females tend to be a more greenish gold hue. So it makes it really easy to tell male versus female. I'm trying to think if I need to describe that color any better. I'm just looking at it for a second, and I'm like, yeah, kind of greenish gold makes sense. There's two major versions. You'll get either long fin or short fin. Regardless of which one you get, they intermix fine. There's no real difference. They stay healthy kind of no matter what. But no matter which version you get, keep in mind that they do like being in groups. I would suggest having more females than males, kind of similar to rainbow fish. Because they're a little robust, you don't want the females to get overly chased by the boys. So, like my example here is I have 4 males, 6 females in my group. I was shooting for like 3-7, but at the same time, 3 males, 7 females. But at the same time, I was just like, hey, catch what you can catch, but let's go more females than males if possible. Those dual colors, kind of like rainbow fish, means that you can kind of have 2 different things to appreciate. A lot of people will want that heavier kind of rosy red, reddish gold color, but honestly, I feel the females and their kind of greenish gold color is really pretty as well. So don't be afraid to have a nice mix. The other thing you want to keep in mind is because they're kind of boisterous and they like to pick at things, I would suggest not keeping them with slower or long-finned fish. So avoid your guppies, veil-tailed betas, things like that. They go pretty great with rainbow fish, I found, because the rainbow fish's naturally larger body kind of prevents them from being too aggressive on them, and their speed also helps. But where possible, because this is a relatively decent-sized barb, I mean, you can kind of compare to these running river rainbow fish right here, right? They're about 40% the size of an adult running river rainbow fish. Because they have some good size to them, you don't want to put them in too small of a tank. I would say something like a 20 lawn is okay for a small group, but if you're going to start getting groups of 10 or more, I would look at something like a 40 breeder, or potentially even larger as far as a habitat is concerned. The basics, right? Don't put them with other longfin fish. Don't put them with other shy or slow fish. Normal, like your tetras are probably fine. Some of your smaller cichlids are fine. Rainbow fish definitely fine. Similar fish in that kind of vein are going to do just fine. Other barbs, also okay, but a lot of the other barbs tend to prefer those warmer temperatures, where the Rosy Barb can do significantly well in cooler temperatures. This is a fish that you could keep with something like a rainbow shiner, as an example. And they are excellent algae control when it comes to a lot of your hair algae. So if you are dealing with a hair algae outbreak, these might be one of the best fish for you to buy to handle it in the short term as you make your long-term adjustments to prevent those outbreaks in the future. We've got kind of their diet, size tank to keep them in, tank mates, general, how they act, where they thrive, all that kind of stuff. This is honestly a really cool fish. And as much as I have heard Corey talk about them, I was a bit of a skeptic because so frequently there is a focus on, well, they really like their cooler water. And I was worried that I might run into some trouble putting them into more common, like rainbow fish range tropical temperatures that a lot of us keep our rainbow fish in when they're in captivity. Now, granted, a lot like the Rosy Barb, there are a lot of wild rainbow fish that can handle significantly larger swings in temperature, but we're trying to shoot for optimal health. So in general, what I would say is if you've got a tank where you're not going fairly hot, I would say anything over 76 degrees, I would try to avoid the Rosy Barb and look into other options. But if you're at like that 70 to 74 range especially, I think that's a great temperature range to have Rosy Barbs. You can even go a little bit cooler. But because of their size and because of kind of how aggressively they'll eat things, you might want to avoid keeping them with shrimp. And again, similar to like those other fish, like guppies, longfin type stuff, you might want to avoid some of those unless they happen to be other Rosy Barbs when it comes to longfins. Then you're going to be okay. So why this video? I kind of just want to give them some love. I'm going to be honest, like, they've done such an amazing job cleaning up this tank, and I would guess within about another month, this thing's going to be basically algae-free. And then they'll get moved to a different home. They might stay here a little bit longer than that. But long-term, my Rosy Barbs are going to go into what will soon become formerly the Guppy Mansion. Now, of course, that requires some other tanks getting set up, and then the guppies can move. I want to let them live out their lives in there until they get a different permanent home. But once that happens, there won't be anything in that tank really except some spotted garas. So we're going to get some rainbow fish, we're going to have those Rosy Barbs in there, and it's going to be a fun, cool tank. And these Rosy Barbs will have gone from algae control to just some fish that I'm going to enjoy. If you have a massive algae outbreak, especially with hair algae, surface algae maybe not so much, but hair algae especially, and you need something to really tackle the problem easily and quickly, and you don't want something that's terribly expensive, consider the Rosy Barb. They've done amazing work in my tank. I think they can be pretty great in yours too. I hope you've enjoyed this short video of me basically, like, giving probably almost too much love to the Rosy Barb. It's been really an interesting experience, and just getting constantly wowed at how efficient this fish has tackled my hair algae problem without me going in and manually intervening by removing algae or things like that. They have just chewed through it so fast. And it's been such an impressive thing that I really wanted to show them some love. If you've enjoyed this video, consider liking it, maybe even share. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. It is literally the best way to help Papa YouTube recognize that, like, hey, I like this and someone else might too. If there's something you've learned from this video, give it a comment down below. If you have a favorite algae eater that isn't the Rosy Barb, I'd love to hear from you. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. And stay awesome. They're so good.